In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the power of decision making and how one decision can ultimately change the direction of your life so long as you take the action. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting and watching and thinking about getting into the property market, this episode is for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Smash Property Podcast. I'm Nick V and this is The Key. Akira, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I like my nickname.
The Key. Yeah, I like it too. What's happening?
I am doing well. I think this podcast topic is going to be an interesting one.
This is a ripper. Yeah.
I get the privilege to be able to speak to many people on the phone. So I think this is going to be quite insightful. It's one of those things where, everybody wants to do it, but it's a hard one to actually pull the trigger on.
Exactly.
So looking forward to chatting about this. But the week's been well.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward, getting deals across the line. Had a few clients wrap up over the last couple of days. Some great deals that came through,
some cracking deals, and we might share in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Once the dust settles with those, but yeah, really proud of those couple of deals we got done.
Definitely.
The last week or so.
Definitely.
Instant equity that we always love.
Yeah. How's your side?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously meeting with clients, getting deals done with agents, finding, off markets and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You've been doing some renovating as well on another note.
No, I want to say renovating more landscaping.
Landscaping.
Yeah. So landscaping's been good the last couple of days. I really love that
been out in the
garden DIY stuff, which is pretty cool. But yeah, let's get into this one because this is a ripping episode because you kind of said it. We talk with a lot of people and are lucky enough to talk with a lot of people.
It's such a privilege.
And we're in a position where we can actually see those that make the decision, who get things done, and then those who don't.
Sit on the sidelines.
Sit on the sidelines. They want to think about it. They and there's a whole bunch of reasons why they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see the different type of person, because it's a certain type of person that actually gets the job done.
Yes.
And there's a certain type of person that doesn't.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk through a couple of things. Now, I want us to really start by going through the power of the decision-making process.
It's an
and
art.
the skill. It is an art form. It is an acquired skill that you can craft and sharpen your tools over time with.
Yes.
I want to share some of the stories and examples of maybe some our story on the come up, as well as maybe some of the clients that we work with as well. And then some things that the viewers and listeners can do around turning that hesitation into action.
Yeah.
And some really simple things that, if you've been on the sideline, that you can kind of take action with to really get yourself going in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you said, it is a skill at the end of the day. It's one of those things where I think, even if you're not good at it right now, you can work on the different aspects to make you better at becoming a good decision maker. And this doesn't have to just do with property investing. It can affect all other aspects of your life, relationships, your career, even just your health. So being able to be decisive is, I think, a critical element to kickstart your property journey.
I think being decisive, but teaching yourself to make good decisions. As you just said, making good decisions in all parts of your life is obviously what you want to be doing. And it takes time, it takes skill, it takes making the wrong decision sometimes to actually go, all right, let me make this different decision, which is better for me.
To be fair, I really do believe it has nothing to do with age. Like I said, it's a skill set. Yeah. It's one of those things where if you are determined to do something and you have that fire or the willpower, I think you can build on your skill and you can actually get different tools to help you. You can get, guidance in terms of understanding what you need to do to be able to make a decision, that being like a pros and cons list, whatever it might be. You have tools available to you to make sure that, on your journey, you are guiding yourself accordingly.
Yeah. And I think talking to, the crafting of your decision-making ability and developing that skill, obviously, yes, you make a mistake, you can learn from that and not make the mistake again. But I think more so than just making the mistake is actually a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
And going, there's been multiple periods of times in my life where I've got to a point and gone, okay, how did I get here? Because I'm not really too proud of where I'm at right now. What decision did I make that got me here? And what could I have done differently to actually put myself in a different direction and a different, path in life? So I think having the ability to honestly self-reflect with yourself frequently. I mean, I kind of do it every day, every week, like very regularly go, okay, what did I do to get myself here? And was it a good or a bad thing that I'm here?
Yeah, I noticed that with you. I think it is what makes you special is you have a great introspective kind of personality where you assess who you are, what you want to be, and look at what you're doing currently so that you are continuously growing and getting better. And I think it comes in line with your property portfolio as well, being able to look at it for what it is and not, just use other people's perspectives or opinions to make the decision.
Okay, so I want to talk through some statistics around property investing, right? When you and I talk with a lot of people who are investors and a lot of people who want to be investors, but what do the numbers actually say? And I'm going to read off the screen here because it's important, right? So we have in this country around 2 million people that are property investors.
Yeah.
Now, I will caveat that these numbers that we're looking at are only individual property investors, right? This is not counting for trusts and companies and all those sorts of things. It's just individuals, right? So 2 million, just over 2 million individuals that are property investors, okay? Now, 71% of that 2 mil only have one investment property. And I say only, it's a great place to be, having an investment property. But as we start to get to 2 and 3 and 4, those numbers dwindle dramatically. So it is only 18% of property investors that have 2 or more properties. Then when we get to 3 properties, it's only 5%.
That's incredible.
When we get to 4 properties, it is only 2% of property investors. 5 or more, it's not even 1%. It's 0.87% of investors own 5 or more properties, right? So for you to get into being a property investor, firstly, you are a part of a very small group of people in the country. If you've got multiple properties, you are increasingly, the more properties you own, you're becoming part of a more exclusive club that very, very few people get to. And this is important to anchor this episode in, because if you want to truly be a property investor that is financially free, you are going to have to be overcoming some very, very unique challenges and obstacles along the way. So if you can't even make the decision to buy a property, there's not much hope for you, and I'm sorry to say, of you actually being...
It's tough love.
It's tough love, but if you can't make a decision to buy, you've got very little chance of actually making success out of it.
Yeah.
And that is just the real truth.
It's the reality of this situation, because it's always important to have hopes and dreams and things like that.
It is.
That's well and good. But I think at the end of the day, if you're not acting upon something, then I think, you set yourself for heartache and, failure.
It is.
And I did speak to a very special client. This specific client spoke to me. We were having a bit of a candid conversation around this very same topic. And her mindset was so strong. The word hope for her is not in her vocabulary. If she wants something, she figures out a way to do it and she goes for it. And, when I was speaking to her and getting, a gauge on what she was talking about, it really came home for me that is one of the key attributes to get you to where you want to be. So yeah, I truly do believe it's one of those things. If you want to do something and you have a desire to do something, there is always going to be a way.
There's a way.
If there's a will, there's a way. So you've
100%.
just got to navigate the challenge and know at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things. If you're thinking about your long term as opposed to just tomorrow and the week after, you then have a little bit more fuel to then understand, all right, I may need to make a couple of sacrifices in the coming weeks, months, years to be able to put myself in that position. So, you can't put your feet back later down the track.
Absolutely. Property investing doesn't come, successful property investing doesn't come without sacrifice.
Yeah.
So, you've got to make the decision,
Yeah.
right? You've got to be decisive in that decision, and
Yeah.
you've obviously got to take the action
Yes.
to back the decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd like to sort of move into maybe sharing some examples, some stories of, we've got a client that we work with earlier in the year. You know, his story, I think, you know, is
It's
pretty,
a special one.
pretty inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even just from my perspective and my journey,
Yeah.
well, recently, right? You know, making the decision to buy property as interest rates are rising, and they're not rising, you know, they everybody knows that that was the sharpest increase that we have had in history, right? But still making the decision and going, no, I'm still going to buy one property. I'm still going to buy two properties, or whatever we did to get that done. Borrowing, you know, was diminishing as interest rates kept going up.
That's right.
All right, what do we need to do to get over that little hiccup? But I think a lot of people wouldn't make that decision and go, oh no, I'm just going to sit out. I'm just going to wait.
Let's just see what the market's doing.
I'll wait till, like, you know, interest rates come down again, and then I'm going to get into the
I've
market.
heard it all. I'll think about it. Or maybe at the end of the year, it might be a good option for me.
Yeah.
Or like there's always, I find it quite, I don't mean to be like rude when I say this, but I do find it quite disheartening when someone makes the decision at some point during their journey to reach out to speak to someone who can help them. You know, they want to do it, but during that whole process, it might become overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, maybe I'll do that next week. I'll just park it.
They kick the can down the road, and
Yeah.
it's like, all right, I'm not ready to deal with that challenge now. And to be fair, like, a lot of people have a lot going on in their lives, right? That's not
but that's
lost on me.
all
But
the more
everybody
reason
has
to do it.
something going on in their lives. Like, no one is living this carefree life, like, with, you know, no problems. Everyone's got problems.
And that's why I truly believe with property investing, if you are chaotic, if you don't have the time right now, then it's the best time to just do it. Because if you're already in a position where you feel like you're on the back foot, it's always just going to get further and further along the way.
100%. So, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this client that came to us. Originally came to us thinking we were accountants.
Yeah.
He was talking about wanted some advice around structuring.
Yes, setting up
you know,
a
in
trust.
a trust and all that sort of thing. And obviously we're not accountants, so couldn't really give him, you know, the actual specific tailored advice, but gave him a bit of some direction. And he ended up working with us, you know, a few weeks, maybe a few months after that, and actually helping him source a property. But the reason I love this guy is young guy, super motivated, super driven.
Yes.
Very decisive. Came to us. I want this property in this location because I want to do X, Y, Z to it. And he wanted to add a bit of value to the property.
Yeah.
Right. And there were challenges that we had along the way in sourcing the deal through the negotiation process. There were some major challenges that he had post-purchase in the actual reno process. But when we met with him after, you know, the dust had settled and all that, still smiling, still wanted to go again. Obviously, he had made, you know, a pretty good go at it and sort of got some good equity.
Yeah, the equity that he came up with.
But one thing really just stood out is that, like, him being so decisive in just pushing through the challenges and kind of not laughing them off, but not really letting them kind of hold him back and hold him down.
Yeah. And, you know, just to your point, the one key element that I saw within him that I actually see quite often in property investors who are successful is that they're enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I think being able to know, you know, there are going to be problems and just be like, all right, let me roll this off my shoulder. Let me figure it out. It's not the end of the world. Like, I don't mean to be, I think the main thing is no one's dead. Everyone's okay. I just got to work through this issue and figure out how to come out on top. So that enthusiasm really like resonates with, you know, the property investing world, because if you can be enthusiastic, if you can be willing to learn, it's going to serve you well.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a good point there. We were talking off camera is around the problem-solving ability. Because, like, I would love to sit here and say as a BA that, you know, there's no problems when you buy a property, even if you buy it with an expert. the reality is there is problems, and there's probably almost always a problem with every single deal. Whether it's a problem with your finance and the bank asking for 1,000,001 documents, whether it's a problem with your conveyancer and them asking for signatures and certified this and certified that, whether it's a problem with the actual building or the agent or the seller, there's so many things that can actually go wrong. But the one common denominator that gets you through all of that is what you just said. It's like, okay, how do we get to the next step here? What needs to get done? What needs to happen? Not sitting there crying about it, whinging and complaining, but going, okay, that's gone wrong, or this is what I need to do. Let me go and do it and get it done.
100%. And I think, I've had experience, just in corporate, in construction. I find that there are a lot of alarmist types of personalities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I just think it's critical when you are property investing to have a level head, not be emotionally charged, just be like, okay, what do I have to do to overcome this? Like we said, that problem solving ability. Yeah. I wanted to share a story while you were just chatting about that. The other thing with property investing, just after making the first decision to buy one is one thing, but the decision to buy 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, that's another thing within itself.
Absolutely.
Because making the decision to know your position and where you want to be is also really difficult because you don't know where to draw the line, what's appropriate. So you've got to be continually assessing your circumstance. Yep. So with everything, it takes time, but I think the most important thing is being able to see things for what they are and make sure you're making the right decision for your circumstance.
Absolutely. I mean, as we just saw in the stats, right? Like very few people get to 2 or more properties.
Yeah.
You're talking about a very exclusive club. So you got to know that there's only a few people that can actually pull it off because they have the right mindset. They have the right drive. And if you're sitting there now with no properties and you want to get to that multi-property scenario, you've got to put your head in the right zone to make it happen.
And
otherwise it's not gonna.
Yeah, and I'm not calling anyone out here. Like, it's just one of those things you notice as well, looking into, different media outlets, and the news can be very negative sometimes.
Yes, the guzzlers.
But I think with that, everybody in, Gen Z basically, oh, it's too expensive. Like, I can't afford it. The city market's ridiculous. We've got investors who are 21. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with money. Yep. It's just that willingness. If you want to do it, it's possible. You just got to get the tools and the right
These
information.
These that are buying with us that are 2021 that have they're stretching their borrowing capacity. Maybe they've got a guarantor if they're lucky enough, but they're out there. They're pulling triggers. They're making decisions.
Making it happen.
That, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, those kids, by the time they're 30, 40, I'm telling you that they're going to be in a whole nother world. I'm going to be 50 and watching them from the sidelines, cheering them on because, if you can be that young and make a decision, man, power to you. Absolutely.
And it's all like their actual property portfolios, their ability to make decisions are only going to compound. If you're good at this one thing, I said at the start, your ability within, your career, everything will come out on top because 100%. You start to see things in another light when you become a property investor.
I was going to say it hardens you. I don't know if that's the right word and the right phrase, and it hardening you, the property buying process, but it makes you make better decisions.
Yeah.
It makes you question the right things, ask the right questions in all aspects of your life. And it gives you a good bullshit meter, really.
Yes.
Especially with us dealing with agents all the time. And you can kind of just know, this person is, you can kind of categorize people quite quickly. It just gives you a lot of life experience that I don't think you would get from many other parts of life or many other areas other than, careers and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you're dealing with finance, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with personalities, you're dealing with the risk, the high pressure of the decision.
Yeah.
So all those things become like a little bubbling pot for you then to, start building your personality accordingly.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let's talk a bit now about turning that hesitation into action. And some of the things that I've sort of noticed about myself over the years is, I think when I was a little bit younger, I don't know if I'd say I'd had a scarcity mindset, but I definitely didn't have the abundance mindset as I do today. I think we were talking earlier, like in my head, like everything is absolutely fucking possible. Like no matter how big or small the task is, like even to yesterday, pulling apart this desk right here, like in 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, or doing the landscaping.
Yeah.
Like it's like, all right, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to actually figure it out as I'm going. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. I'll just redo it and learn and not make the mistake again. Now, obviously, when you're dealing with property, it's a little bit different because you don't want to be making huge mistakes and, costing yourself tens of thousands of dollars. But there are lots of ways that you can mitigate those risks through the journey. But just having that abundance mindset to go, even if I bought the fucking wrong property, right? I can just sell it.
Yeah.
Okay. I might take a loss if I bought in completely the wrong area. That's the worst case scenario, right?
Yes.
And in my books, that ain't so bad. Do you know what I mean? There are far worse things that could be happening to you. So just having that mindset of going, I can just make anything and achieve anything that's really going on in this head as long as I believe it.
Yeah.
I'll take the action to go and do it.
You've got to be able to believe in yourself so hard and know that, your dream is real to be able to take the action behind it. If you have that, I think it just fuels everything from that point, because I've said this so many times, the why is the biggest thing on this journey. If that's not clear for you on, what you're doing and why you're doing it, it is so difficult when you come up with these challenges to push through them, because there's going to be an abundance of challenges as well, along with the money that comes.
Absolutely. You don't get there without the challenges. So I think having that abundance mindset, I think is going to just kind of underpin or oversee the whole thing through with you. Having that long-term mindset.
Yeah.
Now, we've spoke with, again, lots of people that get caught up on like short-term problems that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. For example, short-term cash flow problems. Like, yes, rates are really high. Yes, you might be buying a property that's got a tenant in there currently paying a lower than market rate rent. That will change when you do a new lease agreement and the rent goes up to normal and your cash flow position changes.
But
right. Focusing on that for like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, it's just really short term. And we've seen people throw away deals where it is an amazing deal. They literally would have made money on the way in buying the deal, but because of a short-term cash flow problem of a couple $1,000, they've gone, no, not for me.
But this is the kicker. A couple $1,000 short-term cash flow issues, but you're buying that property $40K under market value. It's wild. But then on the flip side, like I said, you do have people who think about it long-term. For an example, this new client that we were talking and just understanding, there is a lease in place, but after 5 months, once you purchase the property, that's going to flip to market value. Once you kind of gauge what the difference is and where you'll be out of pocket, it gives you a bit of confidence and, forward thinking that this is a short-term hoop that I kind of just need to get through.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So like you said, long-term is critical, because if you're focusing on the short-term, you're going to get stuck in the detail.
Yeah.
And forget why you're doing what you're doing.
100%. And I think also turning that hesitation into action is trusting the process.
Yeah.
Now, this doesn't mean to say that you blindly trust, anything and everything that comes your way.
Yeah.
But trust that the process of property investing, if you have done the right research, collected the right knowledge, is going to work for you, right? You might not be able to get 4 properties in the next 12 months, but you might be able to get 4 over the next 4 years. So trust that if you've done your research, you've got the right people and the right team, that it is going to work for you. And the other one that I just wanted to mention here was embracing the unknown. Because whilst you can do all the research and have all the knowledge and have the team, there is so much unknown with this whole thing.
Exactly.
That every deal that I bought personally, or that we've bought together, or inside trust or super fund, there's always something that's fucked up with it.
Come up.
The finance, the conveyancer, the deal, the seller, the whatever. There's always something that's going to go wrong. So just know that. and just, I'm here for it. Whatever's going to go wrong, I'm going to deal with it.
Yeah. And look, and I think to your point, the other aspect is the resilience to be able to know that things are going to come up, but be resilient enough. I actually think about those things that go wrong as a blessing, because at the end of the day, if you want to do this, you've got to be able to have the skills to get better at something. And the only way I believe personally to get better at something is to be able to overcome challenges and issues and problems, because then you're not going to learn. Imagine, you're in a position where you could just have all the properties you want. You wouldn't build up the skill and the ability to get better and find the right properties, know what to look for, know what kind of cash flow forecast. All those skills come as an outcome of the challenges that you deal with.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of those things. I think earlier in my journey, like I, like a lot of people, it's like, fuck, I wish I just had, $20 million in my bank account, and I didn't have to work, and I didn't have to make decisions to better myself and get myself in that position. Whereas now I actually really love the process of what we're doing, whether it's having to increase your borrowing so that you can actually get a loan to go and buy, whether it is the buying process, whether it is the holding, hunting for the deal, actually just holding the property and all the little things that kind of happen. I mean, I feel like every week, every other week, we're getting an email from a property manager of a property that we own. Hey, we need a screen door here. Hey, we need a dishwasher here, or a hot water here. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. That's just what we got to do. You know what I mean? It's just part of the process. Or whether it's dealing with the accountant, trying to get all of the tax stuff sorted with all the properties in the business and all that sort of stuff. I actually am learning to enjoy that stuff so much more than I did back in the day. Yeah. Just a few short years ago. Right? All right. So let's take this now from, talking about it to what can people do now to actually take action and get over whatever roadblock they've got in their head. Tell us what some of the guys can do.
We say this time and time again.
I know, it's coming.
Research.
I know. You can't not do it.
But what does research mean? Maybe we be more clear on it as opposed to give a generic answer.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. I think what research, I guess there's a few components of it when I think about it, right? Yeah. When I'm thinking about research, I think the step one would be, okay, why am I doing this? Yeah. What is my goal? What is the outcome that I want? Whether it's a passive income number, 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, whether it's a net wealth position of, $1 million or 10 million or 100 million, whatever it might be. Like, I think that's your first kind of step.
Your why.
Your first step in the research process is just knowing that why. What are you trying to do? So once you know that, then the rest of it kind of becomes a little bit easier, because we know, okay, let's use I want 100K passive income. And I use this example quite a lot because I can remember the maths quite easily, right? You want 100K passive income, means you have to have a property portfolio worth $5 million unencumbered. Yeah. Unencumbered meaning no debt. Okay. So, I need to get $5 million portfolio, which sounds like a massive mountain, because it kind of is. You want 100 grand a year, you got to work for it. You got to put some effort in to get it, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Work out that why, because then we can work out the strategy of your buying process based on the why. Yeah. Okay. But obviously, you don't just want to go out there and buy any old property. You want to make sure you're buying at the right time in the right market, obviously at the right price. And this is where researching the data, understanding where the area that you're looking to buy is on the property market cycle. Okay. What does the capital growth look like? What does the rental yields look like? What do the vacancy rates look like? What do the days on market look like? What does the vendor discounting look like? There's a whole bunch of different data points that you would want to have a look at to know, okay, this suburb actually has a lot of growth potential in it and I want to buy in it. Okay. That's obviously quite a lot if you're a brand new investor to get into that. A lot of that data is really free online. Some of the free stuff is a bit outdated, or you can use a BA service like ours to really get that information, fed to you on a silver platter. So really doing that research up front is a process in itself. And I would say you probably want to do that before you get your borrowing sorted. right? Or do it during the process of getting your borrowing sorted. Because once you've got your pre-approval,
You
don't
want to
want
go.
you don't want to be hesitating and waiting, because that only pre-approval only lasts for 90 days generally, right?
Yep.
So you want to get in, get the property, and hey, in the best case scenario, you want to do it again real quick.
I would say, look, even simpler, not to be a smartass, but I think the simplest thing, if you want to do this, it's October 2024, and you want to do this and you've been thinking about it, all you really have to do is pick up the phone, speak to the broker or your broker. If you don't have a broker, reach out. We're happy to provide details to competent investment savvy brokers and get that assessed. Know your financial position and see what you can do. That's honestly the hardest part of it. Once you know where you're at and what you can do, then you can decide, all right, this is what I need to do. Or maybe I do need to work to save up a bit more for deposit. But at least you know, because once you know, then you can start taking the steps accordingly. I would say the other thing is it's slow at the start. Property investing, from my experience at the start, can be one of those things where you're thinking about it, you have to save for that deposit for a couple of months, years, whatever it might be based on, your earning potential. But it quickly compounds. Like the time it took between one property to 4 to 5 properties was chalk and cheese. Like once you got to, 2 to 3, that compounding, that equity growth, not slowly, actually quickly comes together.
Exponentially grows. That momentum is
momentum.
The momentum is key. And I think you were kind of saying it there, like in the beginning, yes, you got to save, and then you got to get your broker, or your bank across the line, and there's documents and stuff, and it is hard, it's tedious, right? But that believe it or not is actually your momentum building up. So that by the time you are able to buy, you've overcome so many little challenges to get to the point where the banks say, yep, I'm willing to lend you this money to go and buy.
I'll say one thing as well to this. I really do feel as though it's a bit of a high, like the journey towards getting property, because it's so much that you build it up to be when you're first starting, and it's such a big deal. But then once you secure your property, you have it. It's exciting, but it's not like crazy. Like, okay, you pop a bottle of bubbles, whatever it might be, but it's not like you're ready. At least for me, I'm already thinking about how to get to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, like once we're in settlement mode, it's like, all right, cool. Well, all we got to do now is settle. I'm already thinking, okay, well, how much equity can I pull from this one?
Yeah.
When can I use it? Do I have borrowing? Can I get
It's
my
a
broker
blessing
across
and a
the line?
curse, I think, but it's fun.
It's like, I think it's like one of those same things. Like if we won the lottery, like you got 20 million, you'd be like, yeah, cool, got 20 million. But
what's
like,
next?
The next day, you're gonna be like, okay, well, what do I do now? What's
Yeah,
next?
I think just as humans, we're wired like that for the most part. And don't get me wrong, I'm so content and so grateful for everything within our portfolio that we have been able to achieve. It's just one of those things. If you're forward thinking, future driven and orientated, you just want to continue improving and bettering yourself.
Yeah, I don't think everybody is wired that way. And that's why I really think, I mean, the stats speak for themselves, right? There's only a few people that get to that position. And I think if you have the ability to get yourself in a position where you have multiple properties in your portfolio, you're not going to be the type of person to get there and want to chill.
That's
true.
true.
You're going to be the type of person to literally go, okay, what is next? Do I start a business now? Do I keep buying? Do I go commercial? Do I
restructure myself?
Whatever.
And I think it's that joyfulness and that enthusiasm that, we spoke about on the majority of successful investors, whereby you're not thinking about it like a do or die kind of thing. It's more so something like a game that you're trying to continue leveling up on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at it from that mindset, you just try and workshop stuff to get you in a better position next year, the year after, and then you continuously do that, and before you know it, you're on 10, 50 properties.
50, it's doable.
It's doable. I mean,
absolutely doable.
We know someone who has 50 properties, and same thing for them. They continually just want to have.
It's a never ending game, and I think there's a lot of people that would be watching and listening to this going, well, shit, I don't have one. Like getting to one, is a challenge in itself.
It is.
Absolutely, it is. There was a point in time when I thought getting to 10, I had two properties. I thought getting to 10 was going to be, ridiculously hard and going to take, a decade to get to.
It is.
It is hard, but it didn't take a decade. It took a few short years. Boom, done. That's ready to go. Now we've got sights set on, different levels and different things that we want to achieve. Like, it's just one of those things where, you just got to get in it. You got to make the decision. You've got to get stuck in. So let's wrap this
Let's wrap it up.
And so let's recap. We've got, the skill of decision making is something that you can craft and continually refine as your life progresses.
Yeah.
Right. As you keep moving forward, you can keep making better decisions through the self-reflection, obviously learning from your mistakes and turning that decision into an action is what is going to allow you to have a better life and have better outcomes for yourself. Now, turning that hesitation into action starts with an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Right. It starts at looking on the long-term goal, embracing the unknown and trusting the process. Right. And as you said, having that resilience, of just being that hard-headed, individual that's just going for it. Do you know what I mean? That's what's really going to set you apart from the majority of people out there, not buckling when things
It's so
get hard.
easy to say, all right, I'll do it tomorrow or just cave. It's so easy to do that. What is actually hard is being able to push through things.
100%. And then the action on the back of all of that is doing your research. So knowing what your what is, the why, putting a strategy together, understanding the data,
Speaking to the right people.
Speaking to the right people, and then making the decision and taking the action based on all the things that you've learned.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just to wrap it up, it's not impossible. I think at the end of the day, if you want something for yourself, if at some point, you've thought about it and, you just maybe have had this voice that's saying, oh, no, you can't do that. Or no, you're not in the right space, or just wait till next year when rates come down.
Sack that.
Don't listen to that voice. Get rid of it.
That voice is going to hold you back.
Put yourself in what I like to do is just imagine myself in 5 years from now and what I want for myself. If you do that, then you continuously, have that feeling of wanting and having more for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, go for it if you want it.
Go for it. Make things happen. Obviously, if you need help on your property investing journey, you can reach out to us. We're happy to have a chat and point you in the right direction. But that's all for today's podcast episode. So I hope you guys got a bit of value out of that. Deciding and thriving. There's lots of things that you can do to really better yourself and put yourself in a better position out there in 2024, leading into 2025, which will be here very, very soon. So thanks as always for joining us, Akira. And thanks everyone for the support over the time. It's been great. Last episode did really well. So hopefully we can build on the momentum. And yeah, we've got some great things coming up in the pipeline, which we told you about in the last episode. BMW Club, things going on at the end of the year, the vlog, the content on Instagram. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram, at Smash Property Investing on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
I love the plug.
I always got to do it. And that's all for today's episode. So thanks so much for tuning in. Until next week, we'll catch you soon.
Thank you. Thanks.